Hello, we're back. We're back. I am just got kicked out for poor Wi-Fi, so it's all going well. All going well today. Right, so in case you're not aware, my husband is called Derek, otherwise known as Dell, and I am using his account to come live today because I am blocked from doing lives, unfortunately. So if you can hear me and see me okay, give me a wee hashtag live, please. And if you are catching up from replay, give me a wee hashtag replay as well. So, getting out the funk, it's super important, super important. So I want to continue the theme about mindset from last week. So last week was getting an unbreakable mindset, and today is all about mindset and motivation. So getting out the funk when we're not motivated or we're feeling a bit flat, etc., etc. So as usual, I'm going to pop the link in the comments so you've got the document. There we go. That should be it. Just if you can just double check that you can open that for me. Yep, that's looking good. Looking good. So view can't edit. All right. So getting out the funk is hugely common. And there is a reason for that. The reason for slumps and funks and not feeling it or not feeling in the zone or not feeling on it is because it's natural. It happens to absolutely everyone. Everyone. So you are not alone. If you've ever experienced a slump, can't be bothered, just feeling blah, what's the point? It happens to every single person. But it's how we deal with it that separates the people that do nothing and the people that get success. So when we're talking about, getting in a funk and coming out of how do we remain motivated, a lot of it is not going to feel easy, because the easy option is doing nothing. The easy option is staying in a funk or in a slump or in a can't be bothered kind of a state. That's easy. The hard option is doing something about it and actually taking action. And that's where, the uncomfortable part of change comes. So always, make sure. So there's some key actions that we need to do to help us when we do get in a slump. One of them is having very clear goals. Very clear. So knowing exactly what it is that you want and knowing why it's important is a very key part of this. Knowing your enemies. So I don't mean Sandra next door who keeps you up all night, or Karen from school who wouldn't buy you vodka from the shop. I don't know who your enemies are. I mean, what are your triggers? What is it that causes you to go into a slump or unmotivated state in the first place? Is it because the scales didn't move? Is it because your jeans didn't fit? Is it because the nights are getting darker? Is it because you lack of sleep? Understanding everything about yourself is probably one of the strongest things that you can actually do to help you move forward in anything. So knowing what it is that gets you there in the first place. For some people, it's a specific person. So it could be a partner, it could be a parent, it could be a child. That they have a way of triggering something in you, and that comes back to identity. Which is a huge topic all by itself, which we're not going to get into tonight. The other thing to be very, very mindful of is that motivation is internal. It comes from you. So whilst you can get motivational speakers, while some of you might find these lives motivational, I can't make you be motivated. I can help with you discovering things that help drive your inner motivation. But motivation has to come from within. So, just think of an example. A really good I don't even think he is called a motivational speaker, but there's a guy called Tony Robbins who I absolutely adore. And he's not everybody's cup of tea. He's very big and bold and brash. But when he speaks, oh my God, the hairs on my arms stand up, because he just uses the right words to trigger drive in me. He just uses the right tonality that gets me fired up for being better. But he's doing things, he's saying things and using words and tone, but it's me that has to get up and do the stuff. It's me that has to get the inner drive. So motivation, I think I've said this before in a previous live, that motivation and willpower are kind of used interdependently of each other. My Wi-Fi keeps going funny. Anyway, I'm back. So willpower and motivation are what gets you started doing anything, but that's not what keeps you going. Okay, that is not the long-term way of doing things, because that's, it's finite. So if you think about your brain as a muscle, and you have to use that muscle all throughout the course of the day to make decisions, to resist things, to everything, like putting on your shoes, choosing what bra to wear, choosing what food to eat, choosing what the kids are having for lunch, choosing. So you're using your brain all day long. So by the time it gets to later on in the evening, if that muscle is tired, your brain is tired, then it's not going to be it's not going to be as strong as what it was first thing in the morning, which is one reason why in an evening you might find that you can't say no to a bit of chocolate, or you can't say no to a glass of wine, because your muscle, your brain is weakened from the actions of the day. It's just like doing bicep curls. If you were to do bicep curls all day long, then by the time you got to the evening, you wouldn't be able to lift a dumbbell because your muscle's tired. It's the same thing. So we have to rely on something else, and that is creating new rituals, new habits, new routines, because when we can get them embedded, then we don't have to rely on willpower. We don't have to rely on being motivated. It's just shit that you do. It's just something that is part and parcel of your life. Okay, so we're all in our 40s and 50s. There'll be some in their 30s, maybe even some ladies in their 60s. Everybody's welcome. But every decision, every action that you have taken till now in your life has got you to where you are now. So there'll be certain habits that you have, certain rituals that you have, certain routines that are not serving you particularly well. So it could well be that it is wine every evening. It could well be that it's half a pack of kettle chips every day. It could well be the habit of not exercising. And that's what we need to create: new routines, new rituals, new habits that are going to get you to another place. And that's where it is hard, because when we can get those rituals and habits embedded, we don't need to rely on that willpower and motivation. Just realised that my polo neck and my chair are blending in with each other, so I genuinely just look a bit like a floating head. I do have a neck, I promise. So, as a coach, our role is to help people make different decisions, to take different actions. Because if people continue to make the decisions and actions that they always have, then they're going to get what they've always got. So when somebody is wanting to change and do things differently, then somebody, coach, partner, friend, whoever it is, has to help them change that way of decision making. And that is part and parcel of how do we get out of a funk. Because if you continue to stay in a funk and choose not to do anything about it, or just wait for a magical external motivator to happen, what happens if it doesn't come? What happens then? So if you don't get out of the funk and you don't make the changes, where does that leave you? And that can be quite a compelling and horrible thing to think about, that, if you've spent the last 10 years relying on external motivation or waiting until you're in the zone, are you prepared to keep doing that for the next 10 years? Because there's a good chance it won't happen, because it has to come from within. Does that make sense? Can you give me a little thumbs up for me if that's making sense? Because what I want to do, that's explaining a little bit more about, why we're not all motivated. I'm never always motivated. The greatest in the world at anything is never all motivated. There'll be some days that Serena Williams cannot be arsed getting out of her bed. There'll be some days that I can't even think of anybody famous. Who's a really famous sports person? I can't think of anyone, but they are not always motivated, because there'll be days that they're tired. There'll be days that they feel weak. There'll be days that their muscles ache. There'll be days that their brain is fried. It applies to absolutely everyone. It's not just you that faces these challenges, but the difference is embedding different routines so that they don't have to face that issue of, can't be bothered. It's just, they just have to do what they do. So how do we get out of it? And that's the crux, isn't it? So this goes back to the what is it? What is it that you want to achieve? So understanding your goal, and I mean proper goal setting, not like I want to lose some weight. That is not a proper goal. I want to do something by something is more of a goal. So I want to lose 2 stone by Christmas is a better goal. Okay, so you actually have a tangible number and timeline and action, and then a sign of a true good goal is that you can then break that down. Okay, so how are you going to do that goal? What are the steps that you're going to do to get you there? Because ultimately, within certain parameters, you can't really control whether you lose 2 stone by Christmas or not. Yes, you want to, but ultimately it's lots of different things that control. So you can only control the actions that you take. So it could, I want to lose 2 stone by Christmas, but what does that mean for me? It means I have to exercise 3, 4, 5 times a week. It means that I have to be in a calorie deficit. It means I need to be drinking more water. It means that I need to be getting more sleep. All of these things are things that you can control. You can't necessarily control the number on the scales. So not only do we need to know what it is that we want to achieve, we need to know why. So, I want to lose a little bit of weight because it'll make me feel happier. That's not really a compelling why, because if you get in the funk and you're tired or you're hungover or it's raining or, I don't know, work's really, really stressful, that whole I want to feel a bit better isn't a big enough driver. But saying something like, I want to lose weight because I want to have more confidence that I can initiate sex with my husband, that means we're not going to get divorced in the next year, then that is a more compelling why. That means something. That is going to drive you in the gut, because what is the alternative? What if you don't do it? The alternative in that situation is divorce, So if you don't have a solid gut-wrenching reason why, then it'll be really, really difficult to actually get yourself out of the funk when you do land in one. And you will land in one, because we all land in one. So something like, an Olympian, like, I don't think any of us in this group are Olympians. I've done competitive sports before, and wanting to win at something, to be the best, can be a really compelling reason. And that is why Olympians and athletes get out of bed and train for hours upon hours, even when they're in agony. So think about your why, and that is really, really important. Going back to knowing your enemies, so knowing your triggers. Is it weather? Is it tiredness? Is it hangover? What are the things that are putting you in that slump in the first place, and do your absolute best to try and overcome that. So removing the trigger before it even becomes a thing. If it's, using the example of, if it's your partner or your mum that every time you have a conversation it puts you in a downer, then stop talking to them for a wee while. Don't go in a huff, but you could even change the time that you're talking to them, or change the day that you're talking to them. If you know that a stressful day at work is putting you into a wine slump and a crisp slump, then, what is it about the stress? Are you handling stress right? Do you need to look at how that you do de-stress, or do you need to get support from the workplace about delegating some work? Look at the triggers. Don't just accept that is how it should be, because if that's what's forcing you to not be your best, then something does need to change. making it as easy as possible to succeed is a key one. And this is one of our key principles in our eMove One blueprint, is that we start off with something so achievable that you have to, you succeed. And having that little bit of pride of succeeding in something, despite it being really small, gives you confidence to go on and make other changes, small changes elsewhere. And if you understand the principles of marginal gains, starting small and building small is going to get you in this incremental growth loop. So small changes done over time equals big results. And yes, a lot of you come from a very all or nothing dieting history and are used to, 6 pounds my first week. Yeah, that's amazing. No pounds in your second week. Oh, doesn't work. Right? So yeah, you maybe lost 6 pounds and then nothing, but you've given up long term. You've not really lost anything. But if you're losing a smaller amount of weight over a longer period of time and it's staying off, then that is the winning situation because you've started small without the overwhelm. One of the other tactics that I use, and I can see that Dawn's on, and this was one that Dawn and I worked on together, was in the case of getting up in the morning. So see when the clocks change in the autumn, like I normally get up early and train and the clocks change. It's hideous. It's so dark. But I know I have to do it because it's important for me to be lean. It's important for me to be strong and healthy. And it's not just for personal reasons, it's for career reasons. It's important. So when you're lying there and you really can't be bothered, just a simple countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up. Do not fanny about, just get up and just do it. If it's a case of, forcing yourself to go into the kitchen and make a home cooked meal rather than picking up a takeaway menu, just 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up and do it. And you'll be so happy that you've done it that neural pathway, which is one of my favourite things, that will make a connection. You go, oh, that was good. I can do that again. And then next time you're in that situation, you may well do it again. Accountability is an absolute key one. And this is, I suppose one of the biggest areas of success is that when you are answering to somebody other than you, nobody wants to let anybody down. Especially, nobody wants to let themselves down, especially if they've invested in themselves, but nobody wants to let anybody else down who is they're waiting for you to do something, to commit to something and to actually follow through in the actions. So accountability, huge. If you're not working with a coach, see if you can get a friend. Now, I am not necessarily a fan of friend accountability buddies, because is anybody really going to challenge you? Because everybody's got their own shit to deal with. So that's an area, like, having accountability is great, but it's only great if you're challenging each other. See? And this is a big one that I hear a lot of, I've just been kind to myself, or self-care. There is a big difference between self-care and kindness and laziness. All right. So self-care and being kind to yourself is about helping you be the best that you can be. It's not about giving yourself permission to give up on the things that you want to achieve. All right. So be very mindful of the things that you do and what the stories are that you're telling yourself. Okay. This is a huge one. Huge. And I don't know, did anybody laugh at that one? Yeah. A wee smiley face there. Self-care is not an excuse for laziness. So this is one that we touched on last week as well, which is all about ego. And when we get into these slumps, we start believing the little mind monkeys. And I can see Helen's on the call. She'll love my use of mind monkeys. But we start going, I don't deserve to be whatever it is that you want to be. Why is so-and-so doing more or better or losing more weight or doing more exercise or got a better job or kids are less feral? Very, very, everybody's got something better than you. There'll always be somebody that's got more. There's always got somebody that's cleverer. There'll always be somebody that's fitter and stronger. Stay in your own lane and work on you. Comparison is just one of the worst things ever. And I've been there, and there's times that it still happens, but it's taking yourself away from that situation and giving yourself a really good talking to. So ego, you're no better than anyone else. You're no worse than anyone else. You deserve what you deserve. asking for help is not failure. Asking for help is actually a sign of true growth. And asking for help is you actually seeking out the best possible solution for you, because no one has time for fannying about. No one has time for second guessing. No one has time for, I'm in another slump, so I'll just wait till that external motivation hits and then it's another year has passed. Really, really hard to do that. So leave your ego at the door when it comes to trying to get out of a mindset and a motivation funk. And another key tactic is, if you're finding it really, really hard to do something at a particular time of the day, like using exercise as an example, switch it around. If you are really struggling to get your exercise done in the evening, change it to the morning, vice versa. Just switch it up. Don't be afraid to change your schedule. Don't be afraid to move things around. Everybody's got their own preferences, so just work with yours. Work with your preferences. So has that helped anyone today, how to get out of the mindset funk? Give me a little why for yes if it has, and a no for no, an N for no if it's not helped. I think it is very, very, I think the biggest takeaway for me here is accept the fact that it's going to come. You will be not motivated, you will be tired, you will be feeling pathetic, and expect it, but put in the work so that it doesn't become a long-term thing, because the longer you go in a funk, the more negative that you will become. The more this is not going to work long-term will come. This isn't for me. I don't deserve it. That's when all those stories start coming into your mind. So if going back to the accountability factor, going back to, changing the way you do things, if you need help with that, and as I said, that is not a sign of weakness. If you do need help with that, if you do need one-to-one support, what I need you to do is send me a message. Send me a message, not my husband, because he doesn't really use Facebook. I don't think he really understands it. Send me, Emma McElhinney, a message with a comment about what you have enjoyed tonight, and then we'll have a quick conversation to see if we can help you moving forward. We might not be able to, might not be a good fit, we might not be the right thing for you, but I am more than happy to help people on that journey, whatever that journey is. How can I help people move forward to be the best version they can be? And it's not always going to be with us. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I was actually spent quite an awful lot of time going through this one this morning when I was writing it all up. So you've got the document there. If you've not already done it, have a watch of the YouTube video about what we do here at Team EMW to give you an idea of, how it's not just nutrition and exercise. They are the tactics that we use to get results. It's more about what's up here so that we don't have to go through these funks, because they're the worst. All right, my lovelies, I hope this has helped, and I have really enjoyed myself. It's nice to see some familiar names popping up. Nice to see you all. And have a corker of an evening. All right, take care.